So I was a really hard-headed person. I would always have to learn the hard way.
Right.
And so a lot of my reprogramming is that I can learn in joy too, and I
Yes.
can learn in peace too. And I don't,
Right.
every lesson doesn't have to be so painful,
Right.
and I don't have to learn in chaos.
Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and blessings, everyone. I love to say peace and blessings. Peace is the dynamic of harmonizing good, and blessings means that life, the goodness of life, is being conferred upon you. So the dynamic of harmonizing good and the goodness of life is being conferred upon you right now as I welcome you to Take Back Your Mind, where we have wonderful guests every single week. Basically guests that I feel will provide insight with their own individual lives or individual practices and the ways they may articulate something that might be exactly what you need to hear, that you can take back your own mind and not allow it to be used by society, used by fear or worry or doubt, or any sense of separation from the presence that's never an absence, so that you can make a powerful contribution to this planet before you leave. Now, after I do this life question of the week, I'm going to be bringing in to the studio here Lauren London. You may know who Lauren is. I'm going to give you the full introduction in just a moment. But some of you have seen her in ATL. Some of you have seen her in You People, starring Eddie Murphy and Nia Long. But you'll hear more of her story in just a moment. Now for the life question of the week. Yolanda from New York asked, I've always done things to stay ahead financially and not fall behind. But there's a part of me that feels like I'm lost and that I'm in survival mode. I also have ADHD, which creates an environment in my life where I feel distracted and incomplete. How can I move forward and tap into the stream of consciousness where the vision for my life is? Yolanda, this is a good question, and it probably relates to many people who are watching us. When you say there's a part of you that feels like lost and you're in survival mode, what you've described is survival mode. Doing things to stay ahead financially and the vibration of not falling behind. I don't want to fall behind. That is survival mode. So what you want to begin to do is you want to begin to cultivate a consciousness of gratitude for what you already have. You want to feel that so that your consciousness of gratitude is bigger than what you want in the future. Let me break this down for a moment. I spoke to this to a limited degree at Agape recently. Oftentimes people, they want things, financial good, material good. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. But if the one thing is bigger than the gratitude, you actually create vibrationally scarcity, because your attention goes on to what you don't have more than in what you do have. And then unconsciously, you start to live in the vibration of scarcity and always running to catch up with yourself, always running to make ends meet. No. Feel grateful for the financial good that you have, while you're available to allowing more good to flow in, but not from a sense of lack, from a sense of fulfillment. Use your ADHD as a creative mechanism. Give that energy something to do. When you go to bed at night, you wake up in the morning, say these words. Show me the next steps for my life. Show me the next steps for my life. In other words, ADHD has you moving around doing this and that, moving around really fast. It's really a creative energy. But you give that creative energy something to do. Show me what's next in my life. What is the vision for my life? And show me the next steps for it. What is the vision? And show me the next steps. So you're actually giving that part of you that's always wanting, it's always moving around, it's always doing something. You're giving it a task. You're giving it an assignment. Give it an assignment before you go to bed. Give it an assignment when you wake up. And then you'll start to catch visions, dreams, intuitive hunches, insights, inner guidance as to your next step, but not from lack. Your next step will be from fulfillment, completeness, and gratitude. That is the right way to use the law of the universe. Oftentimes people go into immature wanting and they end up using all the energy to manifest something, but then they're always afraid of losing it, or it doesn't bring any happiness even when it happens, because they did not ask from the right place and they did not even know why they wanted those things. That's a whole nother topic that I'll get to later. But I hope this helps you out, Yolanda. I think you've helped out a lot of people. Have a beautiful day. We're going to bring forth Lauren London in just a moment. Peace and blessings, everyone. I know you're having a magnificent day, regardless of the time zone you may be in, because in Take Back Your Mind, this podcast, we're bringing you from the external to the internal, so you can begin to see that you are a timeless, luminous being. Every week I have wonderful guests, and as I said earlier during the life question of the week, I was going to be in person with Lauren London. Here she is. How you doing, Lauren?
I'm good. How are you?
Everything's lovely. If you don't know who Lauren London is, I'll give you some highlights. Los Angeles native. Her career skyrocketed after the film, starring in the film ATL. And in the years since, her career includes a number of feature films. This Christmas, Next Day Air, Tyler Perry's Madea's Big Happy Family, among others. Her many TV series credits includes HBO's Entourage, 90210, Singles Ladies, and The Game. 2019, she led the BET series Games People Play, which aired for 2 seasons. In the spring of 2021, Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, starring Michael B. Jordan, was released with Lauren starring as Pam Kelly. I saw it. I saw you. You were his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the fall of 2021, Netflix released the miniseries True Story, where Lauren appears alongside Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes. Her most recent release is the Kenya Barris written, directed feature You People. That was funny. Starring Jonah Hill, Eddie Murphy, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and a number of others. Nia Long. It was extremely well received, and it topped the streamer's viewing charts for weeks. She's currently developing other projects to utilize her crafts as an actor, producer, director, but we can't talk about that right now. There's a strike going on. Anyway, she also grew up at Agape. Mm-hmm. She attended Agape. How old were you when you started attending Agape?
The first time I came, I was 10 with my mom and her friend. Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, I was always in church, but right. Agape just felt so like, oh, I felt seen. Right. It made so much sense to me. And then one of my best friends, her mom works here. Mm-hmm. And so around 15, I was just more frequent here.
Right. Yes. When you had agency over your own life.
Yes. I was
able to. I'm going here.
Yes. I was able to drive, and I remember coming to a lot of the Bible study, a lot of the Wednesday services. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah.
We're getting ready to start those back again.
Yeah, those were so good for the middle of the week recharge and just like renewal.
Right. Now, share a little bit about you growing up and your movement towards your creative side of your life.
So I grew up I was the only child, and it was just me and my mom. My dad lived in another state for all of my life, really. And so it was just me and my mom a lot, and I was what you call a
latchkey
Yeah.
kid. Yeah.
So I was just alone a lot, and I would find, I lived in my mind, and I was constantly in my mind, being creative, creating, stories and drawing visuals and writing plays that I wanted to, be in, or concepts of books. It's things that I now as an adult realize that they were like heavily creative, but then I was just keeping myself busy. I was really into like old classic musical movies because it was so different than the life I was living. My mom was in an extremely abusive relationship when I was growing up, so I witnessed a lot of abuse, and he was very abusive to me as well. My mom had a really horrible boyfriend, and that was really tough. So I would escape in my mind a lot, and I cultivated my relationship with God in those times too.
How old were you? What age are we talking about?
9, 10.
So this is the same time that you're around your mother brought you to Agape.
Yes.
You're in that.
Because my mom went to Agape kind of seeking peace from what
the
she
abuse.
was going through. Yep.
Yeah. So you're in, as a child, you're in here creating scenarios, plays, movies, musicals, of which your life now, you're an actor. You're a producer. You're totally involved. So you were actually creating your life in your mind.
Yeah.
Did you know you were doing it at the time, or was it just an escape?
I didn't know what I was doing at the time. It was just an escape. And then I was I had a lot of dreams and growing up. And so like I would have these dreams and then they would come to happen. So I guess like premonitions. So I also knew that I had like a really special, to me it was like a special relationship with God very early on. And I had an aunt that was really big in church. And so I saw the power of prayer early. And so I had a really strong conversations with God at a young age. Even so, I had the Agape influence, and then my aunt, who was like a very strict Christian woman, but her prayers are like so powerful and magical.
So regardless of the theology, she was connected.
Oh my God! So I just like gravitated to people connected to like God and light, and so I would be in my head a lot, but a lot of it was in faith and prayer, in conversation with God.
So that was probably different than a lot of your peers.
Yes, I was very lonely.
Yeah, you were by yourself a lot.
I was physically around a lot of people at school, and I have a lot of cousins. I have a really large family, but I always felt really alone inside.
So that's where you found your solace with this conversation with God, this vibration, this frequency.
Yes, and I didn't even realize I was attracted to crystals and things I would see at other people's homes. So I would always like things like that. I was just naturally into because it felt like safe and peace for me.
So safety was important because of the abuse, and the peace was important because that was your connection to the presence. So as you look back over your life, how has your spirituality changed? How has your concepts changed to a degree? What is, that you had the 10-year-old.
Yes.
And then obviously you had teenage, and then now you're an adult. What shifts have taken place?
So around my teenage years, I started to express all the pain I internalized. So I was extremely rebellious. I got kicked out of high school.
Really?
Yes.
What did you do? You got expelled?
I got kicked. I didn't get expelled from the
district?
The district, but they sent me to, so I was bused into the school I was going to, and you had to keep up with a certain, your grades. And I got to the age where I was just extremely rebellious, and I was like, I didn't care anymore. So I just wouldn't go, or I would like get dropped off on the bus and then take the city bus back home. And I was also very defiant with authority, which has a lot to do with, just the trauma that I was.
That's how you reacted to the trauma.
Yeah.
You just rebelled.
I completely rebelled. And so I went through a long period of my life in rebellion of everything I had thought of and created and loved as a kid, I didn't want anything to do with it. So I was in a really, really rebellious, aggressive time in my teenage years. And then at 19, I had a dream that I had left my body in this dream. I'm going to start, this is where agape comes in at. This is where my spiritual evolution comes in.
So you had this dream, you left your body.
I left my body, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I just died. I'm like, what? My mom, like, this is going to shock my mom. Like, how sad. And this entity was taking me out of my room. And then I asked where Jesus was, and the entity was like, he's not here for you. And I woke up. And it was Sunday morning, and I had enough time to make it to Agape. And I drove to Agape by myself, and I sat there alone in the seats. And I don't remember the message you preached, but I remember it just like filled me up, and I cried. And I went to Agape every Sunday, every Wednesday. I started picking up books. I started going into the bookstore and grabbing, the Ian La Vanzant until today. I just was so thirsty to not be on the path I was going on, because it just felt so empty, and I felt so alone. And so that started that shift. And so I became involved in more things that I remembered when I was 10. So like
you went back to the innocent person.
Yes. So like collecting crystals that resonated with me, or just like reading a lot. And then as I've grown up, a lot of that stuff was just in theory. And now at the age that I'm at now I'm in my application phase spiritually.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I think you may have told me that story at one point.
Yeah.
But I'd kind of forgotten it. So when the entity says Jesus is not here for you, that was your message. You were going down a different path.
I definitely was. I mean, I definitely was. I was, I was experimenting with just, things that just would have taken me longer to get to where I would like to be.
Right.
It
was a circuitous path.
Yes.
It wasn't direct.
No.
It wasn't the straight and narrow.
Yeah. And even then, even then I have definitely taken, left turns and taken longer, than I would have liked to. But that was the beginning of...
It's all part of a journey, though. It's like, when you look back on it, it's not that you made mistakes. You were learning.
Absolutely.
It's like there's no win-lose, it's win-learn. You evolve, you grow, you have insight, and then you learn some things. And sometimes those learnings can be painful, or it may look like you've lost something, but it's actually you learning something along the way. The universe isn't set up in the win-lose vibration.
Yeah.
It's just constantly growing and winning and learning, winning, learning. And you get to choose, ultimately, how fast you're going to learn that lesson. You can keep repeating it?
Yeah, so I was a really hard-headed person. I would always have to learn the hard way.
Right.
And so a lot of my reprogramming is that I can learn in joy too, and I can learn in peace too, and every lesson doesn't have to be so painful.
Right.
And I don't have to learn in chaos. I was also in a lot of trauma growing up, so learning through chaos was so normal for me.
Yeah, that's how you were trained into that, because of the family dynamic. So you just thought that was normal.
Absolutely. So now I'm learning and reprogramming that I don't have to necessarily learn through chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
You can learn through grace and ease and inspiration, love.
That is what I'm learning right now. Yes, I receive all of that.
So what are some of your spiritual practices now? What do you how does your spiritual life look? I know everybody goes up and down, but what is ideally?
Ideally, so in the morning, I wake up before the sun, and I make myself some tea. I light a candle to represent the light of God. I light my incense, because incense have really good vibration to it. And I meditate for 10 minutes. And I'm very new to meditation. I would say like 2 years in that I'm still into guided meditations.
It's okay.
And I have worked up to 15 minutes, but I sit, and I also make the goal or the intention workable for the kids getting up and stuff like that. So I sit for 10 minutes, I meditate, and then I read from Iyanla's book Until Today, and I read the daily devotion and the daily guidance of that. And currently I'm reading another book she has, One Day My Soul Just opened up, and it's 40 days and 40 nights. So I read from that, and then I free write. And so, which is, I just journal all my thoughts.
Right.
And then I don't have any rules on that. I can write whatever I want.
Right.
I just get out. And then I go into prayer. And then I set an intention for the day of just how I don't want to just go through the day mindlessly. I want to be more mindful with how I'm moving through the day. So I'll set the intention of like to be more present today, or to lead with kindness today. And so that's about an hour and a half
That's
in
good.
the morning. Yeah.
That's a good meditation. I mean, that's a good part of your day.
It is like.
So this is before you do anything in the
Yes.
morning, before you handle the kids and.
They're not even up yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've already had your moment with the
Absolutely.
presence, and then they wake up. Now you're mom.
And I'm totally present. What I've learned and witnessed in this practice is that when I don't do this, I'm totally off.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm irritated faster. I'm anxious. I'm easily to be. My anxiety kicks in.
Right.
So spending time with myself and just with God in the morning is like medicine. I don't function well without it.
Right. Yeah. You're giving a great advertisement for meditation. No, because you know, I tell people, you know, don't leave home without it. You know, because what happens is all the lower frequencies get to run your life.
Yes.
But when you become in alignment with your higher self, the presence of God, presence of love, intelligence, beauty, then that's what people meet. You carry that vibration and frequency, and it gives you greater bandwidth. It gives you greater spaciousness to handle the things of the day. Because when you're clouded with stuff, easily triggered,
Yes.
anxiety about the future,
Yes.
you're not your best self,
Yes.
and then you're not available to the wisdom and the guidance that's always there. So you've just broken down a very beautiful spiritual practice. It's beautiful.
And it just like naturally it just works. It wasn't like I heard anyone did this particular practice. And then sometimes I stretch, you know, it's not, and I
You mean stretch physically?
Physically.
Okay.
I just stretch and I just do movement that feels good to me. I listen to, I listen to a lot of chanting music because of the vibration in that.
Yeah, right.
So I just like bring in, because if not, it's so many things throughout the day, you know, that can just pull at you. And that sometimes they do pull at me. And I'm like, oh,
Right.
I should have meditated this morning.
Should have meditated a little bit longer.
Yeah. Or just like at all, you know,
Yeah.
because sometimes, you know, I think I had a moment where I just thought I'm okay. That, you know.
That's the ego.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm good. And then I'm like, nah.
Yeah. You know what it's like? It's like, okay, you brush your teeth yesterday and you say, oh, I'm good. I don't have to brush my teeth today. You know.
You have to brush. Yeah, it's like, no.
You got to brush your teeth every day.
Yeah, morning and
You
night.
have to take a shower.
Yes.
You know, you can't just like, well, I did that last week. It's the same thing with meditation.
Yeah.
You know, like as you enter into that moment, that's a new you. You know, because of all the things that have happened up to that moment, little micro sensations and how you dealt with them and how you grew. You're a different person all the time. So I always teach people that every time you meditate, you always say to yourself, this is the first time I meditated. So it's the beginner's mind. It's like, I've never meditated before. Even if you're a veteran, you know. So you always bring that. And then, you know, when the ego is trying to sneak in, because it says, oh, I had a really good meditation yesterday. I don't need to do it today.
No, the ego comes in always at your, like right after my most heightened moment.
Yes, it's nervous.
Yes, no one talks about that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like always, like even after, you know, plant medicine, then like the ego will come in after healing sessions, after being in the heights of your life and your mind and your body. Then the next day, my ego will step in, and so it's like, whoa, you know, I didn't recognize it before. I always thought that there was something wrong with me. That like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just?
I had such a good moment.
Yeah, why can't I just stay in these? But I'm like, now I understand.
It's a good sign.
Yes.
No, it's a great. What happens is the ego is the protector of your present identity. And so when you start to meditate and pray, you're basically opening yourself up to the unknown, a part of you that you don't know about yet. The ego can't control that. So if you start to go out there, which is really deeper in here, it finds a way through boredom, sleepiness, drowsiness. It finds all these little ways to make you stay small. Do you remember the Truman Show? Jim Carrey?
Vaguely.
Okay, the Truman Show is a show in which he was in this town that he thought was real.
Oh, yes, I do remember
that?
this, yes.
But they were filming him from the time he was an infant, and those weren't his real parents and the whole deal. But every time he would start to figure it out and try to get closer to escaping, there'd be a tsunami, there'd be a tidal wave, there'd be an earthquake, there'd be a fire. That's what the ego does. Whenever you're about to escape into a wider perception of yourself, the ego starts bringing stuff to keep you small. So you've identified, that's a very high state of consciousness. To identify that every time you had an insight, the ego came. Rather, because you said you used to think something was wrong with you.
Yes.
But nothing's wrong with you. It means that means that's progress. You see, it's also called cleansing. Whenever you have an insight, then you have to cleanse all the stuff that you used to vibrate at. Now it's coming out to be released. So this is really good. This is really good. Now, this person today, what would you tell, if you could, your 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old person? What would you, if you could speak to them right now?
Right.
What
Well, this is
say?
A lot of the work I'm doing in trauma therapy currently. Speaking to my young. What would I say? I think I would just reaffirm how important and loved, she is. I think, and now I realize how low my self-esteem was, and not in like in such a like a internal way. Like I didn't have a self-worth.
Right.
And so I think I would totally reaffirm to my younger self how important and how loved she really is. And I don't mean that on like a ego way, but I had no self-worth. I didn't think I mattered at a certain point to anyone, to anything, to the universe. So I think I would reaffirm that I have something to contribute.
Right.
And that's important, big or small.
And so what you're speaking to your younger self, you're also speaking to these people that are watching. They need to know that.
Yeah.
That they matter, they're important.
We definitely have everyone has something to contribute, and we all are really, really important. Someone was telling me what the miracle of life is, that we just are all here, and like because it happens so much. I think you probably said, do you say?
Well, I like to talk about the miracle of existence.
Yeah.
And just to be grateful that we exist at all. That's the first level of gratitude. Not that that we have a body, that you can be grateful for things. But ultimately, just to be grateful for the miracle of existence.
Yeah. That
we are alive.
Yeah.
Start there.
And that we can be used.
Right. Yes.
As vessels.
Yes.
To the Most High.
Right.
Like that to me is a service. Is anytime I get off my square and I'm like tripping in my head and into like the ego.
Right.
I'm like, girl, this is really just about service.
Right.
How are you serving God? And like, are you serving him or are you serving yourself?
Right.
And I realize anytime I'm serving myself, I'm whack.
Right.
It's not working.
Right.
But when I'm in service and open to God and just God's people, I feel so fulfilled.
That's a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
That's also a way of coming out of depression.
Yes.
Yes. You say, how can I serve? And then the depressed energy becomes expressed. And you come out of yourself. And you realize that you had gotten wrapped up into a very small package. And I have tremendous compassion for individuals who are living in compression and anxiety and worry.
God, yeah.
Particularly after these last couple of years when people were locked down and couldn't move, they were isolated, but you've given one of the keys. The keys is service. How can I be of service? And once that happens, the universal presence through universal law starts bringing ways that you can serve. And now you come out of yourself because you're helping, you're contributing, and then your perception expands, and now you're more available to encouragement and inspiration. So that's what you're doing naturally.
Yes, I'm very aware that I'm extremely responsible for my energy.
Yeah.
And it's like a ripple effect in like a lake, right? It's
Yeah.
like whatever energy I give to you, you can deposit and give to someone else. So I'm responsible for my energy, and just that's a service as well.
It's also being conscious. I know that when I have a spiritual practice, I wake up and I do a little bit of physical exercise that I do every day. And then I do the same thing. I light my incense. I light my incense almost in every room in my house,
Yes.
even though the rooms I'm not even going to be in.
Yes, because me too.
I just light the incense. I light these 2 candles where I meditate. And I don't need any of that to meditate, but I just like the atmosphere. And then I drink my water first, water with lemon and minerals, drink the water, and then I'll meditate. And then, but that's a short meditate. Well, it's 22 minutes, 22 seconds, And then I make a special tea. Sometimes I make the tea first. And this is for a point I'm about to make. And then I go to the gym. Now, on the way to the gym, I know there's certain people that are shelterless. So I know I'm going to see them. So I already have money ready, in my side there in my car. And and sometimes they're different people, but a lot of times it's the same people. They know I'm coming. You know what I mean? So I have the money ready for I just call them my people. You know what I mean? And so I'm just in service to them. I don't know them, but I'm just in service. Like today, there was a different person at the red light. He was a Latino man, you know what I mean? And so he was trying to wash people's windows, and I was saying, no, can I just give you this gift? And he started speaking Spanish to me. I understood some of it. I said, de nada,
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but it's like, when you're of service, even if it's minuscule, your attention is off of yourself, you're becoming a vehicle, and then you become more available to guidance in your own life for the rest of the day, And I'll get a little. So I don't have any money in my car. I can't go out today. I may run into somebody who needs something.
Oh wow!
So it's just a part of being of service. And of course, here at Agape, I'm in service in a lot of ways. But those are just little personal things that I do on a regular basis.
Those sometimes are the biggest.
Yeah.
Like when we think it's like really small, or
Yeah.
like even just a smile, or just small acts of kindness, I think are really, really big.
I know when I was attending USC many years ago, not that many, but I remember walking across campus, and there was this woman whose books were she had dropped her books on the ground, and so I helped her pick up her books, but she was crying, and I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "I just came out of the financial aid office. They're giving me a hard time to get this money for me to continue school. I'm quitting. I'm just dropping out. I'm gonna go get a job. I'm tired of the way they keep giving me the runaround." And I said, "Well, how long do you have to take to graduate?" And she said, 2 years. And I said, 4 semesters? She said, 4 semesters. She picked up her books, went back into the financial aid office. Never saw it again. Years later, I'm in the Bodhi tree.
Oh, I love the Bodhi
Remember the Bodhi tree?
Yes, I do.
And this lady comes running up to me, and she says, "Oh my God, I've always wanted to meet you." And I thought she knew me from workshops I was doing.
Yeah.
I hadn't started Agape yet, and she said, "You came up to me at USC years ago, and you said 2 words, 4 semesters?" She said, "It changed my whole perspective. I went back in, I got my financial aid, I graduated, now I'm doing A, B, C, and D, but I've always wanted to thank you because you just stopped, and your energy and what you said to me just made me reframe my mind to go back in and get my financial aid. I was about to drop out of school."
Wow.
So when you say Sometimes it's just the small things. I didn't know the person and never saw them again in life. I just stopped to help, you know?
Yes.
And she ended up graduating. She's doing her thing.
Yeah, because 4 semesters sounds less than 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
4 semesters?
Wow. Yeah, you're like, that's it. You got that.
You got that, babe? Come on.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me this. Favorite books? What you reading or what have you read that changed your life? Favorite teachers?
Okay.
Favorite music?
So favorite.
And quote. You have any good quotes that you love?
I do. Okay. So favorite books that I'm reading now or that I just have read?
Or just in your life?
In my life, I think I started with The 4 Agreements.
Okay. Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yes, that was a really good
Yeah.
starter
Yeah.
for me. I was like, oh, yes, this makes sense. Just being impeccable with my word and just having integrity. I mentioned Iyanla's Until Today.
Right,
Is an awesome. I always gift that book.
Yes.
Because I feel like you can just pick it up at any time and read any page and it just makes sense. I really loved learning about the Gita.
The Bhagavad Gita.
The Bhagavad Gita was
Yes.
it was such a heart opener for me.
Yeah.
I love Life Visioning by you.
Beautiful.
Sacred Woman, Queen of Fua.
Yes.
That's another one you can just pick up and just like, boom. I read a book after, in my grief period that was really important to me called Option B, Sheryl Sandberg. That was really helpful in my grief. Anyone grieving, that was a really good book for me. And now I'm reading this book called All About Love by Bell Hooks.
Oh, okay.
Really insightful.
Yeah.
And okay, favorite teachers. Rev you. You're one of my master teachers. Queen of Fua.
Thank you. Yes.
And I would say my beloved Nipsey
Yes.
is one of my greatest teachers.
So
and my babies, my children.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, and music, right?
Yeah, but let's stay with Nipsey for a moment. How long has it been since he left the temple?
It feels like forever and yesterday at the same time.
Yeah.
I think we're going on 3 years.
Wow.
Or 3 years. It's time. The concept of this is, it's the one thing I can't grasp.
Yeah. We're talking about Nipsey Hussle, her beloved. And his full name is?
Ermias Askedom.
Yes. So that particular book that you mentioned, that helped you? I mean, I know there was a lot of, I know we counseled.
We definitely,
a lot of people, but that book helped during that time too? Or is that recent?
Well, no, during that time, she had, she also was a woman that lost her, she lost her husband. So I wanted to hear from that, that space.
Right.
So that was really helpful for me at the time, yeah.
So today, how are you with that? I mean, because that was like a sudden loss. It wasn't.
Yeah,
I mean, that was.
This is a very
tragic.
Interesting question, and I have to be really honest because I don't really know how I'm doing. I know that I am, cultivating life for my children, and I know that I am, definitely trying to be of service. But I miss him tremendously every day.
Yeah.
I'm still dealing with the fact that it just happened. It happened.
Right.
And, I still have so many questions.
Yeah.
But, I think that I've just gotten really closer to myself in this process. And I just have to have faith that I'll probably never really fully understand all my pain, but I have intention on healing the trauma of it.
Right.
Like I don't want to hold the trauma of it in my body.
Right.
I want to be strong and healthy for my children.
Yes.
I always say they're my biggest motivation because they deserve such a joyful life.
Yes.
But some days I feel like I have an overstanding of it, and some days I don't. Some days I'm just purely in my human, and I'm like, this is completely unfair.
This is terrible.
Yeah. And some days I'm like totally connected and, very connected to him, and I still really feel his presence around me, but it just depends on the day for me.
Have there been any visitations?
Like in dreams and stuff, I dream about him all the time.
Really? Uh-huh. Is he giving you messages?
Those aren't things that I would be comfortable talking about.
but there is a connection
There's
in the
definitely,
dream.
definitely see him in my dreams all the time.
Yeah, very good, very good. That was such a beautiful soul.
Mm-hmm.
Still is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about you the other day because I was watching a movie and his music was in there.
Yeah.
I forgot I don't know what I can't remember what I was watching. It's like, oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very intentional.
Yeah, very intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So this music, because we got teachers.
Yes.
We got books.
Yes.
What's
my music? So that has changed through just needing to calm my nervous system down.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing I'm learning about is that how affected my nervous system has been throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
So I listen to a lot of music that has smooth sounds and high vibration. So I love
Smart.
Londrell is a friend of mine who is an awesome artist. His message is just so true and pure. I love Cleo Soul. I love Cleo Soul. She's a really dope artist. She's one of my favorites. Lizzie Jeff is
Lizzie.
Yeah, I like her a lot. She's really cool.
She's been here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I hit my old school. I listen to I listen to the Stylistics, the OJs, the Anita Baker. Of course, I love Anita Baker. Mariah Carey. I'm still really much stuck in like a particular era, but I feel like I've learned too that you hold music in your subconscious,
Right.
whether you're aware of it or not.
Right.
And so I want to be really cautious of what I'm listening to because of how sensitive and fragile I am in this space.
Right. Not only are you sensitive and fragile, but most of the people don't know that they're being programmed.
Yeah, well, you really hold.
Music.
You really hold lyrics in your subconscious mind. I was in I guess I'll call it a meditation, and I had to deal with surrender in this meditation. It was really hard for me because of the trauma. I have a lot of control issues.
Yes.
So surrender is tough for me, and so I was trying to surrender, and in the midst of surrendering, these lyrics that I have not listened to in a minute, right, were popping up in my mind. And I realized, wow, I'm holding this music in my subconscious. And the music was giving me a message to help me continue my surrender. If this makes
they were good lyrics.
They were awesome lyrics.
Okay, they were good.
If this makes any sense at all. I hope I'm not like talking.
No, it's good. It's
good.
Because it can be used positively or it can be used to control. It's like a lot of record labels put a lot of stuff out there to curate prison cells to be full, to make sure that the prisons were full. They used music purposely. They hijacked hip hop, and so that people would, be more prone to violence. And then there's music that calms the soul, opens you up to your great possibilities. It's a higher frequency, good lyrics, and so so you're right there.
I'm in my auntie stage.
Yeah.
They say like that. I was listening to music yesterday and I was like dancing. I was like, I'm dancing like my mom did back in the day. How did I get here? Like I wouldn't even know how to dance in a club. I would be like. I would be like,
hitch,
hey,
right in here, right?
That would be horrible. But yeah, I mean, and that's just very, specific for me and what works for me at this point. You know what I mean? But and then again, I love me some. I'll play Nip, and really get inspired and motivated.
Yeah.
Tupac.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Another genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you notice with your spiritual practices, I know you talked about this a little bit in terms of how it affects you as a parent?
Yes.
Do you parent differently?
Absolutely. Yeah, because also in doing like inner child work, recently I've been diving into that, has really helped me parent them differently, where I have more of an understanding of them because I am now reaching back to my younger self. I have a teenager now, so he definitely...
She does have I know she looks like a teenager, but she has a teenager.
I have a teenager.
This is Lauren London. She has 2 boys she's raising.
Yes. So, it has offered me more patience and deeper understanding for where they are.
Right.
And that they are their own people.
Mm-hmm.
And they came here with their own thing to contribute.
Right.
And that it's not always about me like creating these like strong schedules, and of course you want to like make sure they're on point, but that they need to like figure themselves out too, and who they are here, and that I need to honor their contribution here. And so I just been more patient as a mom, I think.
Yeah, so you're taking the view that, or you're aware, this is making you a conscious parent.
Yeah.
Because you're aware that they are individual souls. They're on their own journey. Their own soul is going to direct them ultimately as to why they're here and what their contribution is. And you're the space.
I just want to be a safe space for them. And
to discover themselves. And you keep like a boundary so they don't do anything stupid or get something that's going to bring harm to themselves or others. So you're like this boundary. But you say at the same time patience for them to discover themselves. So you're not trying to make them like mini you. No. They have to be them.
They do. and God knows they don't need to be mini me's. Right. I'm still trying to figure mini me out. So no. Right. But I'm their journey, they're on their journey. I'm on my journey. I'm here to guide and protect, nurture, care, love them. Make sure that, there's also like justice in the home, that it's just not me just dictating everything. I'm a little bit more fair as a parent now too. Yeah.
Whereas before it was more like,
this is what it is and that's how it's going to be.
Right. Yeah. It's because I told you so.
Oh, yes, because that's how I was raised.
Right. So now this dialogue, conversation.
Well, it's just, and then it's also just, it's not just because I told you so. It's because these are the boundaries, and this is to keep you safe and protected. Right. And that, I'm going to honor that.
How are they responding to that?
So much better. Not that I was ever like, extremely aggressive, but the teenager is just, he like opens
He's 13
up.
now, right?
He's 13, yes.
And he's taller than you, right?
Yes. It's so sad.
So, obviously, I think I know this answer, but it may not be. Your biggest challenge was that when Nipsey. Okay, and so I was going to ask you, what level of spiritual practice that you have to use for that, but let me just say in general, because you probably had more than one challenge in your life.
Yes.
So when you look back on the challenges you have, obviously there's an inner resiliency. I mean, I feel you are probably very hard on yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Extremely hard on myself.
But sitting with you and knowing you for a period of time, you have a peace about you. You have a calm, and obviously you have moments where that's thrown out the window. Yeah. You say, I'm not spiritual.
No.
But you have it. It's in you. You carry that really powerful vibration.
Thank you.
So when a challenge does come, what is your go-to thing that you do? What is your go-to practice? Let's take the release of Nipsey out of that, because that was big. Yeah. And the whole community was helping you.
Yes. I really feel the prayers of everyone was holding me up. I always say that. Yeah. So I try naturally. I go to fear, right? Naturally, and so now my practice has been to not go into fear. And so I try to be still. Stillness. I go to healthier foods.
Okay.
Hydration is really important.
This is all the good stuff.
Okay. Well, this is what I do. Also,
like stillness, good food, hydration.
And I always, either for me, I grab a book. I have like a library. I grab a book in the house that resonates, or I'll play some music. And I just sit in that. I reach for the heights. Yeah. Because so many times I haven't, and it just spirals you.
Yeah. I wanted people to hear that. It's very powerful, because the average person that's looking to alleviate the pain will reach out for something that may not be healthy.
Yeah, and I have. I know that. I know that story too.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely have had, I'm an emotional eater.
Yeah.
So I will, my habit was to eat something really bad.
Yeah.
Not good for me and overindulge in that.
Right. And it's addictive.
It is.
The more you eat, the more you want.
Yes. So I was, I had a very, I wouldn't say the healthiest relationship with food at one point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to learn, even just with working with Queen Afua, like how my body processes that and how to eat greens and to eat life and how that helps, it just helps everything align. And so when you are really in despair, and you know what, honestly, sometimes I do sit in my sadness because
And what do you do when you sit in your sadness? What does that mean?
I write.
Oh, okay.
I write a lot. And so I write my like horrible feelings. Like even if
Get them out.
I get it out. I don't, so I don't necessarily like dwell, but I get that out and I give myself permission to feel this. And then I know tomorrow or in the next hour, I'm going to give myself permission to shake it up.
That's very healthy.
Yeah.
Because people unconsciously suppress or repress their emotions. Repress is unconscious. Suppression is conscious. But you're sitting in it, writing from it. So that means it's not becoming stagnant within your being. You're starting to be self-aware about what it is. So then you can choose a higher frequency. That's very powerful.
This just was work for me because I think I've tried all kind of things.
Yeah.
I've been depressed,
Right.
for a long period of time. So I know what that feels like. And I had to get out of that.
Right.
And I did have help.
Right.
And in the days that I don't have the urge to ask for help, I help myself. And the help is there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
So I often teach that the pain pushes until the vision pulls. You've seen it in the vision book.
Yes.
What's pulling you right now? What
me.
vision is pulling you?
Oh, the vision that's pulling me right now is, and you said this, a person that I don't want to identify with my trauma. I want to just be someone that has experienced trauma, but I would like to heal from all the trauma that I've endured on earth.
Right.
And so I'm doing a lot of work towards that.
Yeah. Those are powerful words. I don't want to identify as the person with trauma. I'm going to be the person who had the experience, but that's not my identity.
Yeah.
No, just saying that is very powerful because many people will move through their trauma, but they'll still identify. That becomes a part of their identity. I'm the trauma person.
It's very easy to do that.
Yeah. And the ego will fight for that identity.
Yeah.
Because many people don't know themselves without that identity. But there is another part of you. That's what you're discovering spiritually.
I would like to experience that.
That's what I see in you.
Yeah.
That's what Queen Afua sees in you. We see the real you that's untouched by the experience. Don't deny the experience. But the real you is untouched by it. So your spiritual practices that you have curated for your own life are putting you in touch with that. And I just give a shout out to Queen Afua right now. She was on a previous podcast, so if you haven't seen that, you should go back and watch that. But she reached out to me. I was going through something. There was something going on, and it didn't knock me over, but it was a challenge in my life. And she picked up on it intuitively. And said, "Come." She says, "I've been guided to take care of you." I said, "What?" I mean, because normally I'm taking care of it.
Yeah.
And I said, "What?" She says, "No, I'm guided. You need to come." And she did the whole thing with the herb baths and food.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it was a whole day.
Yep.
And no one had really done that for me like that. You know what I mean? And she said she did the cards, and she says, "Oh yeah, I'm guided to take care of you right now. You have so many people that you're taking care of." and we got to make sure that you're okay. And so I went back, and she just called me in and just took care of me, you know, for 2 or 3 times. And it was just so beautiful to just sit in the atmosphere of what I normally do.
Yeah.
And just be totally taken care of. The food and the drink and the teas and the bath and the standing on my head and the infrared sauna.
She always says give her 3 days. She'll change your life. Yeah.
It was just so beautiful. So Queen, if you're watching us, you know, we're giving you a nice shout out for
love you, Queen.
What a wonderful work that you do. It's beautiful. And she's in Atlanta now with her wonderful retreat center.
Yes, so, I have to go see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and see her as well. But so you are our daughter.
Yeah. I am one of the kids just trying to I had a moment. I was in a therapy session, and I was going off about my life. I'm like, it's so hard, this happened. It's been so hard. And then something hit me, and I was like, no, life has been really interesting.
Oh, you changed the dynamic.
Yeah. And so it took me out of that like victimhood and allowed me to be a participant with my life, right? And so I was like, wow, it's been really interesting.
Did you do that in the middle of the therapy session?
Yes.
And what did your therapist say?
They're like, yes.
Where did this come from?
Like, yes, Lauren, it's really insightful. But yeah, you know, I definitely don't, you know, I don't want to be a victim of anything. I would like to, you know, at the end of it, be proud of myself.
Yeah, very good. You told me what you would say to your younger person. Okay. Now, your higher self, the next version of yourself, what do you want to hear from her right now?
Oh, keep going.
Keep going. Okay.
You're not that far.
Okay. Keep going. All right. Lauren, keep going.
Okay.
You're right there.
Okay.
You're right there. You're right here. You're right here. You're right here. And you've given a lot of insight, sharing your life to all of these beautiful people. This is Lauren London. And
hopefully it's helped.
Definitely.
Okay.
And we would get into her projects and things in the future, but right now we're not really talking about that. There's, as you know, there are people trying to get a good livelihood and get that which is just and fair for their existence, writers and more. And right now they're on strike. So we're going to leave that part of her life out for right now, but we're holding all of that in prayer that justice does prevail with that people get their just due for the creative and artistry work that they do. So we can see her back again, finishing her project, one that I know about, and others. And right now she's allowing her spiritual inner fortitude to allow her to be a great mom, the best that she could possibly be. Any final words? Anything that you feel that we need to cover?
No, I just hope that seeds are planted and nurtured, and hopefully I contributed something well.
I love how you love God.
I love God.
I love how you love God.
I love me some God.
Yeah, me too. I'm a God lover.
I can't do it without, let me tell you something. I don't want to do it without God, and I know I can't.
Most people don't realize they're not doing anything without God, because we're not talking about a man in the sky with the beard throwing thunderbolts and having chosen people. But we're talking about a presence that's never an absence, a presence of love, beauty, intelligence, the only power that there really is. And just as a wave cannot exist without the ocean, we are emanations of this presence. We can't exist without the presence. Whether you enter it from the quantum physics field and you see that it's all consciousness, or you enter it from the mystical field where you see it's all consciousness, it's all God.
It's all God. And I'm just here to serve.
Right.
And be used.
Well, God bless you, and thank you for coming in to take back your mind.
Take back your mind.
You're doing it.
I always pray. One of my biggest prayers before you go is always for my right mind.
Yeah, my right mind. I used to say back in the day, I still say it from time to time, I want the mind, this is in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I want the mind in me that was in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God,
Mm-hmm.
did not think it was robbery to be equal with God.
Mm-hmm.
I want that same mind in me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether you call it the Buddha nature, whether you call it the Christ mind,
Mm-hmm.
whether you call it your higher consciousness being activated, whether you call it awakening,
Mm-hmm.
enlightenment, that's my main priority.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to be of service from that dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You see, however, I'm to be used by life.
Yes. And I always ask, I say, God, when they see me, I don't want them to see me. I want them to see you.
Right. Yeah, I call, sometimes when I speak, I call that doing a disappearing act.
Come on now.
Little Michael starts to disappear.
Yes. Let Lauren disappear, right? Who was that anyway?
Let that little personality go.
Go.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in to Take Back Your
Please.
Mind. It's been a wonderful being with Lauren London, someone who came to Agape International at the age of 10 and then came back, and then came back consciously after that dream at the age of 19. And she's been on it ever since in terms of participating in her own unfoldment. Hope you got a lot out of that.
Participating in your own unfoldment.
Yeah. God bless you.
Love you.
Peace and blessings. Dynamic blessings. And as you know, in our Take Back Your Mind podcast, we always end the podcast with a few moments of meditation. Meditation is extremely important. Don't leave home without it. And meditation allows you to become more spacious inside of your own being. So there's a lot of room in there. Your ability to be triggered begins to be dissolved because you're more and more spacious with every insight that you have with the sacred art and science of meditation. It's going to take just a few moments. You can put your hands in your lap facing upward if you so desire. It's a sign of receptivity. Let's take a deep breath. Let's bring our shoulders to our ears. Let's squeeze everything. Release. And allow the body tempo to go to a natural state of relaxation after the tensing up. Embrace your intention to wake up to your glorious nature. Your attention is embracing that intention. You're intending to wake up to your glorious nature. Simultaneously, there's an attention on the breath. The breath is happening presently, so that being aware of the breath keeps you present, not flying off into the past or future. And you're sitting as if someone was about to tell you something very important. So your entire being is available to hear what's being said without tenseness. And you're sitting as if this is your very first time. Because it is. Be still. Your attention is embracing your intention to wake up to your glorious nature and the sacred breath of the body temple which is keeping you present. The mind stuff has got you caught up in the past or the future. Just notice it without any sense of having made any mistakes. Just notice it. Come back to the breath and begin again. Deep sense of gratitude, we open our eyes. We just give thanks for life, that we exist. Go forward in our day with the feeling tone of the eternal in every step that we take, bringing peace to the planet through us. Have a beautiful day. Take back your mind. As always, first of all, we're sponsored by the Agape International Spiritual Center, a spiritual community that is heaven-bent on expanding spiritual awareness, opening ourselves up to the infinite possibilities that lie within us. Go to agapelive.com, participate in our Sunday services, participate in classes offered by our Agape University, participate in using our prayer ministry. Our One from the Heart teams are ready to serve those who are suffering loss. And there are many other ministries that you may find very useful. We're also sponsored by Entourage. You can go to NeutraRise.com. There are 3 lines that will come up. You hit those 3 lines, and it'll take you right into Adaptogen. Adaptogen offers my products, these superfood greens, 47 plant-based ingredients, along with adaptogens, prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes to lift your vibration so that your spiritual practice is enhanced because the body temple is full to overflowing with the nutrition that it needs to sustain health. The vitamin D3, K2, which allows for the immune system to be strong and the mood to be elevated. You want to have good nutrition so that you can stay physically healthy, so that you can continue to practice your spiritual technologies so that you can be more you. Those are our 2 sponsors at the moment, Agape International and Entourage, which gave birth to Adaptogen. Have a bright and shining day. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for lending us your ear and participating in taking back your mind. If you want to submit a question for the question of the week, please submit it to podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please submit a review and let us know your thoughts. Stay on top of current episodes by subscribing to the podcast so that you'll receive alerts and not miss one single episode. And feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and family. And until we meet again, take back your mind, and you will take back your life. Peace and blessings.